I'm Claire, and I've had type 1 diabetes for 10 years. I'm really excited to talk today.
Friends, we're all back together for the next episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Welcome. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. All right, let's get down to it. You want the management stuff from the podcast. You don't care about all this chitting and chatting with other people. Juiceboxpodcast.com/lists. They are downloadable, easy to read. Every series, every episode, they're all numbered. Makes it super simple for you to go right into that search feature in your audio app, type Juicebox 1795 to find episode 1795. Juiceboxpodcast.com/lists. Cozy Earth is back with a great offer for Juicebox Podcast listeners. Right now, you can stack my code Juicebox on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals will not last, so start your holiday shopping today by going to CozyEarth.com and using the offer code Juicebox at checkout. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by US Med. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Get your supplies the same way we do from US Med. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Omnipod 5. Omnipod 5 is a tube-free automated insulin delivery system that's been shown to significantly improve A1C and time in range for people with type 1 diabetes when they've switched from daily injections. Learn more and get started today at omnipod.com/juicebox. At my link, you can get a free starter kit right now. Terms and conditions apply. Eligibility may vary. Full terms and conditions can be found at omnipod.com/juicebox.
I'm Claire, and I've had type 1 diabetes for 10 years. I'm really excited to talk today.
Awesome, Claire. How old are you now?
39.
39, diagnosed when you were 29.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you excited to talk?
I'm excited to talk because I've listened to several episodes of the Juicebox Podcast, and I feel like it's been really influential in my life and my diabetes management. So it's just really exciting to kind of pay it forward, contribute to the conversation, and I don't know.
That's nice.
It's hard to put into words, but
yeah, you got something you want to get out.
Sure.
We'll find a way to
share. Want to collaborate.
Yeah, and Claire, I don't want to make you feel badly, but the person I interviewed yesterday had listened to 1,500 of the episodes. So I'd like to suggest that maybe you quit your job or stop taking care of your family or whatever it is that takes up your time and listen to more of my podcast, please.
Yes, on 5 times speed.
Thank you. I don't care how you do it. Just do it. So
I talked to somebody who listened to all the podcast episodes, or claims to. So
what do you mean claims to? Of course they have. I haven't heard all the episodes of the podcast. I mean, I've been involved in them, but I've not listened to them back. The person that you talked to, were they the person who introduced you to the podcast?
I'm not sure the exact person, but there's a support group, a type 1 support group that I joined, and that definitely was how I learned about the podcast. Somebody in that group. And then there's somebody in the group who says that they've listened to all of them.
Is that an in-person group or online?
It was in person, and then once COVID happened, it was online and virtual.
Oh, so you found a support group prior to 2020?
Correct.
Oh, what sent you? So wait a minute, that's like 5 years ago. So you were a few years into your diabetes and you thought, I need to meet more people who have type 1. What drove you to seek those people out?
I was kind of peer pressured into joining the group. I had run into somebody in person. They're like, why are you not in a support group? You should join our support group. And I was like, what? Okay. So I joined the support group. And that was about a year into my diagnosis.
Okay. Cultists, did you find?
Yeah.
They're trying to build a small army of people with type 1.
I did feel a little pressured, but like in a good way,
Okay.
Just like, why are you not in a support group? You should join our support group.
What did you gain from it?
It was definitely nice to have that community. You feel less alone. Everyone's got their own little pro tips. So I showed up there pretty newly diagnosed, and everyone's like, oh, you don't have a CGM? Look what it can do. You don't have a pump? Look what it can do. And I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, I was just looking to come and meet some people, but now you guys are like showing me, I don't know, they just kind of showed me the ropes. Like, and it was different hearing it from somebody living with it than a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, when your doctor's like, oh, you know, these things are out there. I'm like, yeah. Okay, cool. What do I have to do now?
So at first they feel like the people at Costco trying to get you to drink coconut water, but then it quickly, you decide like, this is valuable. I should maybe hear what these people have to say and look into this stuff.
Yeah. And more eye-opening. And it's kind of like drinking from the fire hose at the beginning when you're getting diagnosed. I'm like, I'm just trying to get day to day, you know, try and figure out what's going on here, just day to day, minute to minute, meal to meal.
Yeah.
And then, so going to the doctor and having them talk about all the technology is just like a little overwhelming. I was like, all right, let me just take this one bite at a time. But it was cool to hear other people's experience with it, spend a little more time learning about it instead of a 15-minute doctor's appointment. It was like an hour or two meeting. And then, you know, during the meeting, everything's beeping, everyone's beeping, and, you know, nobody flinches because it's so normal. So it was just interesting to be in that environment because I'd never been surrounded by type 1s before.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Did you find it, like, obviously you found it easier to get information from the support group than from the doctor, but why? What about at the doctor's office makes that difficult?
I think because it's brief, and I love my endo, but they don't have type 1. And, you know, they have to get their checklisty things done. And it's different when you're sitting with somebody with a little more time. There's less time constraint. There's less of an agenda. It's more just natural flow. And then they can also give you their real life experience about why it's helpful for them and why it's meaningful for them.
I see.
So I think that was different.
And then at some point they say something that just like connects with you, right? And you go, oh, that is a struggle I have or a concern I have or something I'm trying to get to. And then that helps you kind of key in on the thing that they're saying being potentially valuable for you.
Yeah, like real life examples. And I was running a lot at the time, and my friends were explaining like, oh, well, you could see what your numbers are doing while you're running. And I was like, oh, that would be really nice. So I did get on the CGM quite quickly after hearing their experiences and seeing the value in it.
Okay, awesome. And what did you learn? What did you learn in that? I mean, because it had been a year, right? And you slap on a CGM. I'm interested in your initial takeaways as soon as you could see your blood sugar 24/7 like that.
Yeah, I think I kind of label it. I had a little bit of like a CGM depression almost, because when I was doing finger sticks, my numbers were 9 times out of 10 really good. So I was like, I've got this, you know, I got this down. But then when I could see what was happening between those snapshots, between those finger sticks, I was having these huge swings. So great that, you know, 5 times a day I was in range, but I had no idea what was happening in between. And so I kind of had this moment of like, oh, I thought I was doing a great job. Oh no, I'm doing terribly. But then it was like motivation to do better, to learn more, to try and fix those spikes. And then again, kind of circled back to like information gathering, seeking, using my peer support group to kind of help figure out like where else to go. And I think at that point, somebody had either mentioned Juicebox Podcast or at that time had mentioned Juicebox Podcast. And I was like, okay, like I just began to just devour information, not listening to all your podcasts, but
I was just teasing you. Listen, if any of you are listening to all of them, that's awesome. I don't expect you all to do that, but so I guess I want to stay for one more second in this idea of like, because it sounds like it's not a linear process. You didn't just, it wasn't step 1 to step 10, and now I understand better. You got diagnosed. You thought you were doing great, met some people, they gave you some suggestions, you filtered through them. Eventually you end up on a CGM. You go, oh, what I thought was happening isn't happening. You get that moment of like, I mean, it probably makes you feel like, oh, I've been putting all this effort into this and it's not even working. But instead of feeling that way, you say, well, at least I know now. I'll go look for more tools. And so this is sort of I guess the way I think about it is more about how I feel like people find the podcast, because I think what can happen is that people can find it podcast or the Facebook group, right? They find it either at the right time when they're looking for it or not at the right time. But a lot of them can find their way back to it if when they initially intersected, it wasn't the right time for them. And it makes me like, I think of it more from my perspective, but to sit back and listen to you talk about it, it almost feels like you're, what's that game we played when we were kids? Like you had to run over the line and grab something and get back before somebody hit you with something. Do you remember that? Are you not old enough for that? Did you grow up when you weren't allowed to throw things at people?
I think we could still throw things.
You're
at
still
people,
allowed
like
to throw things.
Dodgeball, kick the can. What else? Red Rover. Yeah.
Oh,
all that kind of physical stuff.
I think it's more like that, where like you sometimes like you're outside of it for a minute, and then you think, oh, I need a thing. I got to run back in and grab it. And you go get back and get it. You bring your piece back. You build a little more. You go back again. Like some people learn that way.
Yeah.
That sounds like where you are.
Yeah, I was just kind of taking it like one kind of thing at a time, one phase at a time. And I think, I was initially like kind of overwhelmed. But then just, kind of took it one piece, one thing at a time. But getting diagnosed in my late 20s, like from day one, every time I walked in that office, they're like, okay, pregnancy? I was like, whoa, not even married. Your jets. But it was just so, they were doing their job. They're like, woman of childbearing age. But every time I walked in there, like, pregnancy? I'm like, no. So in the back of my mind, being, in my late 20s, I was like, okay, this is like a thing. So I need to eventually kind of figure this out, maybe. My endo was always just like, give me a year notice if you ever want to get pregnant. I'm like, okay, cool.
Fun.
I'll call you later.
You had to pre-bolus your baby?
Basically. I was like, so let me do like some reverse calculations here. No, I'm just kidding. But that was an interesting dynamic going in. I'm like, I'm 28-year-old female or 29-year-old female, but like, no, not yet. But in their mind, I'm, late 20s female.
So they're concerned you're going to get pregnant before you know what you're doing and have a problem in the pregnancy. But the way it's feeling to you is more like a judgment of where you are in your life. Perhaps the best gift that you can give to yourself or to a loved one is that of comfort. If you use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout at CozyEarth.com, you won't just be getting something that's comfortable, you'll also be doing it at quite a discount. I use Cozy Earth towels every day when I get out of the shower. I sleep on Cozy Earth sheets every night when I get into bed. I'm recording right now in a pair of Cozy Earth sweatpants. I love their joggers, their hoodies, their shirts. My wife has their pajamas. And I know you're thinking, oh yeah, Scott, well, because they sent you a bunch of it for free. They did send me some for free, but I've also bought a lot on my own. And right now you can stack my code JUICEBOX on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals are definitely not going to last. Get your shopping done now or get yourself something terrific at CozyEarth.com. Do not forget to use that offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. You will not be sorry. Diabetes comes with a lot of things to remember. So it's nice when someone takes something off of your plate. US Med has done that for us. When it's time for Ardent supplies to be refreshed, we get an email. Rolls up and in your inbox says, "Hi Ardent, this is your friendly reorder email from US Med." You open up the email, it's a big button that says, "Click here to reorder," and you're done. Finally, somebody taking away a responsibility instead of adding one. US Med has done that for us. An email arrives, we click on a link, and the next thing you know, your products are at the front door. That simple. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. I never have to wonder if Ardent has enough supplies. I click on one link, I open up a box, I put the stuff in the drawer, and we're done. US Med carries everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like the Libre 3 and the Dexcom G7. They accept Medicare nationwide, over 800 private insurers, and all you have to do to get started is call 888-721-1514 or go to my link, usmed.com/juicebox. Using that number or my link helps to support the production of the Juicebox podcast.
Oh, like a little bit, but also just, they're just looking at me like a number on a paper. And I'm like, okay, so just so you know where I am in my life, nowhere near close to having a kid.
Yeah.
But also it did give me the sense of like, that is a thing. Because I had no idea when I was diagnosed how tightly controlled your blood sugars need to be for a healthy pregnancy just wasn't on my radar. I was like, how do I eat my lunch today? Like, let's talk about that. I'm still trying to figure out my basal insulin. Like, let's talk about that.
I'm staring at my food and I feel like I'm going to cry. Is there a way we could get past this, please?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I eat this? Can I not eat this? Yeah. An initial diagnosis, it could be like this sliding scale of, I don't know. It's just.
Did they started you sliding scale?
Yeah.
About where in the country are you?
I'm on the East Coast. Yeah. And I'm outside of a major city.
Okay.
But I'm not rural. But yeah, I got started. This is actually kind of crazy. I got diagnosed on my lunch break at work. Went to the doctor on my lunch break, and they handed me insulin pens. I'm like, okay, here you go, inject.
What got you?
About?
What got you moving to the doctor? Like, how were you feeling?
I was feeling pretty bad at that point. Long story short, I ended up running a marathon, which was awesome. Caught the flu because your immune system gets a big hit when you do intense exercise like that. And then I just never recovered from the flu. So I'd lost a lot of weight. I wasn't getting it back. Everyone was like, are you okay? I was like, oh yeah, I just ran a marathon and got the flu. It's a great diet. You should try it. Just kidding. But I was very underweight and I started getting thirsty, peeing a lot, yada, yada. And I had a random, it was a cholesterol test. And I didn't realize, but they also check your blood sugar with that, or I guess you can. And they called me over and sat me down. They're like, are you okay? I was like, what are you talking about? What's my cholesterol? And they're like, no, your blood sugar is really high. And I was like, what are you talking about? So they suggested I see an endo. Probably should have just gone to the emergency department, but I was just following their orders. Like, go see an endocrinologist because your blood sugar is over 300. And I was like, okay.
You think they thought you had type 2 diabetes at that point?
I think they were a little confused. And I was otherwise, besides being underweight and recently ill, probably looking healthy. But looking back, I'm like, maybe I should have just gone to the emergency room. But I think I was also in denial too. I was like, I'm too old for type 1 and too healthy for type 2. Like, I just ran a marathon. Also, both of those things are not true. Those are just, some assumptions that I had made at the time, right?
Stuck in your head. How did you even have an assumption about that?
Just when they checked my blood sugar and it was high, I was like, how's that possible? Like, I'm in my late 20s, and not realizing you could get diagnosed as type 1 as an adult. In my head, I was like, oh, I'm too old for type 1 because that's for kids. And then I don't think I have type 2 because I just ran a marathon.
Yeah. Why did you think type 1 was for kids? Like, do you know how you had that idea?
I think it's just lack of awareness, lack of information. I never really knew any type 1s growing up. So I just didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting. So you're on your lunch break. Do you go back to work and go back to work?
I did. I went back to work and I was like, okay. I purposely didn't call my parents. I was like, I can't call them right now because I'm going to lose it. Mm-hmm. So I called them at the end of the day. We all had a little cry on the phone and it's like, all right, what's next?
What's that like when you feel like you're too old to be parented, but still would like to talk to your parents? Is do you think, I guess I'm asking, why did you reach out to them? And what do you think their response was when they hung up the phone? Have you ever talked about that in hindsight? How it made them feel to know that this had happened to you, but you were older and not really under their roof any longer? This episode is brought to you by Omnipod. Would you ever buy a car without test driving it first? That's a big risk to take on a pretty large investment. You wouldn't do that, right? So why would you do it when it comes to choosing an insulin pump? Most pumps come with a 4-year lock-in period through the DME channel, and you don't even get to try it first. But not Omnipod 5. Omnipod 5 is available exclusively through the pharmacy, which means it doesn't come with a typical 4-year DME lock-in period. Plus, you can get started with a free 30-day trial to be sure it's the right choice for you or your family. My daughter has been wearing an Omnipod every day for 17 years. Are you ready to give Omnipod 5 a try? Request your free starter kit today at my link, omnipod.com/juicebox. Terms and conditions apply. Eligibility may vary. Full terms and conditions can be found at omnipod.com/juicebox. Find my link in the show notes of this podcast player or at juiceboxpodcast.com.
Yeah, I think they probably felt like a whole spectrum of emotions. And we talked about it a little bit, but not recently. So I think, part of them felt like guilty, like it was their genes that did it, right? But it really doesn't run in our family. That also felt bad that they weren't like physically with me. They also, I think, felt some component of maybe relief that like they didn't have to go through me as a child and them having to manage my blood sugar and, being worried when I was out or worried in the middle of the night and all of that stuff, which I'm sure you can relate to. Like they didn't have to do that. So they were probably kind of like, oh, kind of got lucky with that.
I don't know if they felt lucky. I bet you they felt like, I wish we could have been like more involved.
Yeah.
You think?
Like there's more they could do.
Yeah.
But
are they that kind of people? Maybe I'm just putting my feelings onto them.
Yeah. No, they're great. Yeah. I think they just kind of felt bad. They weren't like there wasn't anything they could really do in that moment, except for like be there for me.
Yeah.
And
what did that look like?
I think just lots of phone calls, lots of time on the phone. And I think they probably would have jumped on a plane to come see me that weekend, but I was going out of town that weekend, which is also crazy.
Where did you go?
I was diagnosed on a Wednesday on my lunch break, and Sunday I had already bought and paid for my ticket to go to Sydney, Australia. So I got on an international flight on Sunday.
Okay, hold on. I thought you were going to be like, I went away for the weekend, and I was like, oh, that's not crazy. So did you have a diagnosis? You hadn't seen the endo by then, right?
Oh, I saw the endo Wednesday lunch break, and they were like, look, I think it's type 1. We'll do the blood work. If the blood work comes back negative, then we're going to have to do some imaging to make sure it's not pancreatic cancer. I was like, okay, cool. And the blood work came back, and I had a voicemail from the doctor. It was like, yep, you have antibodies. It's type 1. Keep doing that sliding scale we talked about. I think she wanted me to come back like as soon as I was back in the country, like soon, like 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, looking back on it, I'm like, what was I thinking? But yeah, I got on an international plane flight.
And it worked. You were okay?
I was okay. I filled my insulin prescription on the way to the airport.
Oh my God.
I know. It was crazy. I tried to get it filled the night before, and the pharmacy I went to was out. So in my defense, I did try and go the night before. So I had to go to another pharmacy.
What if you would have not been able to fill that on the way to the airport? Do you think something would have stopped you from getting on the plane?
Maybe, but I did have at least a couple sample pens. But then I didn't know how many pens to bring. I brought way too many. But I knew when I got to Australia, I would be okay.
Why is that?
I was with good family friends in Australia.
Okay.
And one of them's a nurse, and they knew. They knew what was coming in. Like,
see, yeah, what was coming in. I like how you talk. You talking about yourself like you're a package.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I was a bit of a mess, but I came in.
I'm going to jump ahead to jump backwards, right? You have kids now?
I do.
Wow. I do. Imagine this happened to one of them. What would you say to them if they were like, I'm still going to Australia?
I'd be like, are you sure? I'm coming with.
Sure, you can come, but I'm going.
Yeah, I'm coming too. And I would be like, you're getting all the technology right now.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if there's not a ton of value in doing that, not even knowing it was that much of a risk, but taking it, living through it. Like I imagine there's a ton of value for you, like long term, but that's only because it went well. Right. Like if something would have got upside down, then, you'd be on here right now saying like, oh, I've made, biggest mistake. I did this thing. I shouldn't have done it. I didn't know what I was doing enough with diabetes. I had to stay home. It's interesting how just maybe a little bit of the randomness of it outlines how it is we're going to talk about it later. But that's crazy. Okay. So you get back, fast forward a year later, you're looking for a support group. Well, you're not looking for a support group. People forced you to go to a support group.
Kind of, yeah.
You get good stuff out of that. You're on your way. Eventually, you make it to the podcast. And where would you describe the level of your, I don't know, knowledge base the day before you started listening, and how did it help you?
I think at first it was was kind of seeking more community, more stories, because everybody has a diagnosis story, and most of them are interesting. Some of them are terrifying. So part of me is like, oh, whew, I wasn't diagnosed in a coma. I didn't end up in a hospital. Like, I'm very grateful for that. And then as the podcast evolved and you guys started doing more of like the pro tip stuff, I started listening more of those just to like learn more about, how food hits you versus how insulin hits you, and how the timing is so critical and the amount. Eventually I switched to a pump. So when the time came where I wanted to switch to a pump, I definitely listened to some episodes around that just to gather more information, more people's real life experiences. I definitely listened to a bunch of the interviews with the employees of Dexcom, Omnipod. All of those I just found really interesting just to learn more about the products and the technology.
Interesting. What year was it when you started listening?
It was, I think I learned about it was probably like 2016, 17. And then I went through phases of listening to episodes and then kind of taking a break. But I definitely leaned more into the listening to more episodes around when Dexcom was going from G5, G6, G7, when Omnipod came out with the Omnipod 5.
You've been listening for a long time.
Yeah. Because I think I started, over the 10-year history I've had with diabetes, I think I started pretty early on. But it was more just like dabbling here and there and then seeking out the episodes that I thought I would gain more from.
Yeah.
And I had met my husband. Ironically, I met my husband 1 month after I was diagnosed. So he has never known me as someone without type 1.
Okay.
So, that's kind of a fun fact. But he and I on some road trips would listen to some episodes because as you can search through the episodes, we would find some were like about the support person or, there were a couple that were more focused on like the person with type 1 and their partner in that way. So we would listen to some like that. And, it was cute because we're like, oh yeah, we can kind of relate to that too. And then we wanted to start a family so that we started listening together often to the episodes you did with Jenny about type 1 and pregnancy.
Oh, okay. So you did take them seriously back in the day when they were like, you have to tell us a year before you're going to get.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to start with these episodes. And then, okay, so Jenny wrote a book. Okay.
And you did you use Jenny's book?
I did.
Good book, huh?
Yeah. It lived next to my bed at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. This is something, can I ask, like, I want to get back into that, but I'm going to ask like a question that's more for me.
Yeah.
It's more for me and no one else listening. I love that. I love it. You're not like a crazy, wait, that was the wrong word. I love all you that listen every day. You're not like somebody you're not a rabid fan, but you have enjoyed the podcast. It's done a lot for you. You've been in and out of it over almost a decade, really. Mm-hmm. Who am I to you? Like, I don't even want to put a word in your mouth. Like, if describe who I am in your life or the podcast, if it's harder to talk about me while you're talking to me.
I feel like a podcast is probably like, the first word that comes to mind is coach, right? Like somebody who's kind of always there for you if you need them, but they're there for you if you need them, but they're not going to be like knocking on your door every day. Mm-hmm. Right. Kind of like a coach, a guide, maybe like, maybe not like a grandfather, but like a godfather,
Thank you. That was very nice of you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
No. But just like, you don't have that family tie. No, not to age you. Sorry. That was not my intent with that, but more just like, people have godparents, right? That are not their bloodline, but they're always going to be there for them. So you've got that 1 degree of separation. Like, they're not going to be at every, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They're not knocking on your door, but they're always there if you need them.
Yeah. But if you showed up at their house, they're not going to lead you wrong or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll stop and look at you and be like, all right, what do you need? And yeah.
Like, you're calling me and not your parents. What did you do?
We have, by the way, as you get older, everyone at some point has that experience where someone else's kid shows up to you and you're like, oh, well, I see what's happening now. All right. Yeah. This is weird, but I'll get in. Okay. And I don't want to lead you at all. Does this seem like a thing to you, or does it seem like, what do I mean by this? You, you know how if you do you listen to any other podcasts?
I dabble with a lot of
Okay,
podcasts.
okay, great. So have you heard like I'm trying to pick one with like a lot of famous people. Have you heard of Smartless?
No.
No. What are some of the more famous ones you listen to?
Um, I have talk about rabid fans. I am a big college football fan, so I listen to some college football podcasts. It's kind of
Okay,
silly. But diabetes wise, there are a couple other diabetes ones that
sure.
I've listened to, but probably more juice box than anything else.
I
Um,
mean, like, see, I might not be getting to this correctly. Like, do you listen to any podcasts that have like an actual famous person in it?
not
No. Okay. So your
really.
podcasts are more people with information or conversations that you're interested in hearing. They're nichey.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. And so, and I seem to fit into that category pretty well for you?
yeah. Like
Okay.
you're definitely famous in the diabetes community,
Yeah, that's just there. Like
but
yeah.
but you're not on like Taylor Swift, Travis
No,
Kelsey
oh no,
level.
stop. No, that's not what wasn't my point. But to go back to your point, like if you would see it at a diabetes event, it is crazy. Like I'm still not right with it. But if you drop me in a place where everyone has diabetes, I am famous. It's in that spot, and then it's a great relief to be able to walk outside and like no one know who you are. But I didn't expect. Obviously, it's not a thing you expect, but that's not why I was asking. What I was asking was, is do I or does the podcast seem like this big shiny produced thing that someone's delivering to you, or does it still seem like I'm sitting in a room with a microphone?
I kind of feel like you're. I don't. That's a tricky one. I feel like you're sitting in a room with the microphone. Like everything's very real. It doesn't seem like you have an agenda or you're like, it doesn't seem like you're doing anything more than just really trying to help as many people as possible with the this medium of
That's what I
podcast.
wanted to know. Thank you. I'm sorry it took us so long to get to it, but I didn't want to lead you
It's
to it.
like,
But I wanted to. Claire's like, listen, could you just like let's get back to my story? But I
no, no, no. I
no.
just was like, I want to answer this truthfully, but also like, I wanted to answer it truthfully and honestly, but I was also like, oh, I hope I'm not going the wrong way.
No, you're not. There's no right way to go. Just whatever you say is what you say. I was trying to figure out as this thing has grown if I'm successfully keeping it what it was because that's what I want.
Gotcha.
Like I want it to be me in here sharing things that I've heard, things that I've tried, things that other people have told me about your story, a little bit of like technology from companies where when we can get a hold of it without turning into like some to reuse your word, like rabid YouTuber who's just like jamming. Like, did you know that Dexcom, I know that people click on Dexcom videos, so I'm going to make 1,000 Dexcom videos, or I'm going to jump out and talk about like, hey, I heard that there's a new pump coming next year. Did you know somebody was going to? I think somebody's working on a cure, like all that kind of clickbaity shit that
Hmm.
I just think is I think it's like garbage filler. And like, and sometimes, like to your point, like sometimes there's actually something to say and it's nice to get a little update. But this like making content every week that's really just supposed to get people to click on it, like watch me, like, is there a reason to watch somebody put on their device? Yeah, I think that can be really helpful. Does there need to be 1,000 videos of people putting on their devices?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be involved in that. I guess is what I'm saying. So I was just trying to see if, from your perspective, because of how you've listened off and on, but still connected over at different times, and also we're about to talk about you making a baby with diabetes, and I'm going to guess that I'm going to hope it went well, and I'm going to think
Oh
that
yeah.
a lot of that came from what you learned from here. So I appreciate you sharing that with me very much. Thank you. And so what happened? You decided you wanted to have a baby. You went and told your endocrinologist. You kept your husband away from you for 12 months, and then you began to have a baby. Is that how it worked?
Kind of.
Really? Go ahead. Tell me what happened.
Kind of. Well, my husband and I, we got married. We knew we wanted to start a family. He knew the situation where it's like, okay, we got to tell the endo a year in advance. And then I just started really honing in on, all right, what are our goals during pregnancy? How do we get there? And then trying to connect the dots. I definitely listened to several of the episodes that you made interviewing women with type 1 and their pregnancies, talking with Jenny, bought Jenny's book. So I started doing my homework, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking to my doctor, making small little changes. And I know you've interviewed like several women with type 1 pregnancies. And so I think a lot of things that I had heard, I would say same here, just tightening my CGM time and range, just kind of going from, kind of the blanket 70 to 180 that most people have their CGM set at or are told to set their CGMs at, just bumping down that 180 gradually over time.
What was your A1C goal for pregnancy?
My endo, OB, MFM. I had a pre-pregnancy consultation with MFM. I was doing my homework. Their goal for me is to be under 6.5 at conception, and then preferably under 6 during the pregnancy. And I think I definitely met both those goals. I think I was under 6 the whole
time.
Yeah.
MFM. I'm sorry, Monday Football Maniacs.
Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Maternal fetal medicine.
Gotcha.
High risk pregnancy doctor.
I knew. I just for other people.
Oh yeah.
I know everything, so it's not. I make a podcast. How would I not know?
Yeah, and you've definitely interviewed women with type 1.
I actually I did.
Pregnancy,
I was not following what MFM was. I just wanted. I just want to be clear. No, those episodes are really interesting. Because it separates the line between, I don't know, your mental health and diabetes and your physical health in it. Because what those pregnant women show over and over again, what you showed, was that all these health outcomes specific to diabetes are very doable and you can accomplish them. They're not impossible. But almost every one of those ladies says, like, the baby came out and I was like, oh, I'm so happy I don't have to do it like that anymore. Did that happen to you?
At first, yes, because it was just, life was crazy at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started to want to switch gears into getting that better control. But at this phase of my life, I feel like I don't have as much energy or bandwidth to dedicate to it like I did when I was pregnant. Like when I was pregnant, there was, I didn't have a toddler running around. My work schedule was pretty same every day. There was I had a lot of control and autonomy over my time. So I could do those really long pre-boluses in the 3rd trimester, and I could count all the macros in all my meals, and I could prepare all my food all the time and stuff like that. Oh, got a little spike there. Let me go for a walk. So I had all of that going for me too.
Right.
And it was fine at the time. Everything worked out. But I was like, okay, long term, I don't know if I want to do exactly that much effort.
Right.
I don't know if I can. But it was when I was pregnant, it's so funny because people would talk about how tired you are. And I was tired, but at the same time, I felt like I had great energy. And I think it was because my blood sugar was so tightly controlled. Like, I think mentally I was like, felt great because I wasn't getting these big swings. My blood sugar control was tight. I had great time and range. I was sleeping pretty well with having good blood sugars overnight, stuff like that. So it was just very interesting to look back on. And what I thought the coolest part about being pregnant with type 1 was having that CGM information was like an extra vital sign. Like I could tell my body was making this baby, placenta, everything was going on because of how my CGM numbers were shaping out, because I was getting a little more insulin resistance. So that was just so cool. Like that's something that people with type 1 don't get to experience during their pregnancy. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's pretty great. Did you just make one, or have you made more since then?
No, just one for now.
Just one for now. How old is that one right now?
He's about 3.5.
Yeah, his name's Scott by any chance?
No, but when we were going through the names, once we knew it was a boy, we did throw that in the list. We were like, oh, should we name him Scott?
Thank you. Did it stay for more than a day or no on the list?
I don't know if it made the official list. Maybe it made the long list, but not the short list.
Did you see that somebody got a tattoo yesterday that says bold with insulin on it?
No, that's great.
It's a juice box. The microphone's coming out of the top instead of a straw. It says bold with insulin. I am taking that as almost the same as a baby name. Somebody immediately jumped in and said, well, you'll notice he didn't name a baby after you. And I said, no, this is pretty, I think a baby naming would be the pinnacle. And then I stopped myself and I said, well, maybe not the pinnacle. The pinnacle would be if you had a baby named it Scott and then got it a bold with insulin tattoo. But
all at the same time.
Yeah.
On the same day.
Then I would be like, I won. It's over. I'm done. I'm not even going to make the podcast anymore. But no, being super serious, it was really lovely and strange to see somebody like tattoo something on them that's from this podcast. Like, it's a real leap. You know what I mean? Like I know enough about the person's life to know that they, I don't think I'm speaking for them. I think they feel like their vision is intact because of me. And that's, obviously a big deal. But at the same time, like from my perspective, I was like, wow, that's surreal. Surreal is the only real word to put to it. That's just not a thing. That was not on my bingo card, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That somebody was going to be like, hey, I got a bold with insulin tattoo. I'm like, oh my God, that I felt pressure. I'm like, I don't have a tattoo about the podcast. Like, do I have to do it now? But nevertheless, it was really lovely. And I appreciate you even pretending for a minute to consider naming your child Scott. Thank you. And that, for people who don't know, is just a running joke through the pregnancy episodes where women are always like, oh my God, I had such a healthy pregnancy because of you. And I was like, but not healthy enough to name your baby after me.
Yeah. But it is. It's definitely in the episode. So when the time came, we were, joking around and about what to name our son. And we found out really early what gender we were having, which I appreciated because then we had extra time to try and think about the name. Yeah.
How do you find out early? Was he like, are you bragging? Was he like, did he have a really, like, how do you?
Well, he was never shy on the ultrasound, but as a high-risk pregnancy, you get a bunch of blood tests done at like about 10 weeks, including the gender. They can find out the gender through a blood test when you're 10 weeks pregnant.
Oh, I thought maybe like in every like image the kid was just like spread eagle, like jamming his balls towards the camera or something like that. He's like, it's me, I'm here.
I'm here.
Take a look at these, my friend. You're going to have a boy.
It's definitely a boy and he's not shy.
Then you had a lot of time to think about the name. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that idea. So you felt really, now it's how many years later? 3, did you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you still love the name, or are you like, have you had one of those moments you're like, oh, we should have went with the other name?
No, but we did take our time deciding because we were like so on the fence and like, first name, middle name, that the records department, somebody was calling our hospital phone and they're like, you have to name this kid before you leave the hospital. I was like, okay, I'm kind of busy right now. I'll call you back.
That happened to us with Cole because my wife and I we were horse trading. I know I've said this before and it's probably not appropriate to talk about, but I have a podcast. There's not much I can do. She wanted to name him Nicholas and I wanted to name him Cole, and she wanted to get him circumcised. And I was living through that part in time where people were like, don't do that to boys. And I was like, I don't know if we should, even though in candor, Claire, I am. And so like, we're busy having that conversation and just, we're in the hospital. And I said, you can circumcise him if I can call him Cole. And she was like, okay. And that's
like, deal.
That's
Shake on it.
That's how his name ended up being Cole. But we had the same experience where they were like, they came into the room. They're like, you got to name this baby. And we were like, hey, we're in the middle of it. Like it's,
kind of busy here.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy. My wife and I are trading right now. Like we're getting to it. Don't worry about it. It's all going to work out.
The negotiations. Process.
Also, everything in our relationship is like we are so different than each other that everything turns out to be like, I don't know, like that. I don't know. She said something the other day and I responded back and Arden looks at me and goes, yo, man, read the room. I was like, I'm like, what did he goes, she said to me, whatever you're about to say, just keep it to yourself. She's not into this at all. And I was like, your mom can handle a tough conversation. And she goes, not now. She's not looking for it right now. And I called Kelly's name and she had headphones on. She's working. and she's wearing headphones so that, I don't know what honestly, I don't know what she does when she does a lot of really technical reading and seems to be doing something else in her ears at the same time. And I bothered her enough that she had to take one of the headphones off. And I asked her the question, and she just glared at me and put the headphone back on and turned away. And Arden looks at me, and she's like, "I told you."
Like I told you so.
I was like, I will not be disrespectful of your mother. I was like, she can handle this. She's like, she might be able to handle it, but she's not looking for you right now. And I was like, no, you're making a point. Anyway, that's all, neither here nor there. So, okay, so let's go through it a little bit. You start making that baby. Mm-hmm. What do you experience during the first trimester? When does it pivot? How do you pivot with it? How many times do things change throughout the process?
Yeah, a lot.
Speaking of a lot, there was a lot of words in this episode, so we had to split it into 2 parts. And part 2 is coming right away tomorrow. I promise you it will be there. Go look right now. A huge thanks to my longest sponsor, Omnipod. Check out the Omnipod 5 now with my link, omnipod.com/juicebox. You may be eligible for a free starter kit, a free Omnipod 5 starter kit at my link. Go check it out, omnipod.com/juicebox. Terms and conditions apply. Full terms and conditions can be found at omnipod.com/juicebox. The conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by US Med. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Get started today and get your supplies from US Med. The music ran out, but I wasn't done talking yet. A huge thanks to Cozy Earth for sponsoring this episode. CozyEarth.com. Right now, you can stack my code JUICEBOX on top of their site-wide sale. This is going to give you up to 40% off in savings, and these deals are definitely not going to last. I'm talking about sheets, towels, clothing, everything they have. Get that holiday shopping going right now today. Do it. CozyEarth.com. Use the offer code JUICEBOX. My Grand Rounds series was designed by listeners to tell doctors what they need, and it also helps you to understand what to ask for. There's a mental wellness series that addresses the emotional side of diabetes and practical ways to stay balanced. And when we talk about GLP medications, well, we'll break down what they are, how they may help you, and if they fit into your diabetes management plan. What do these 3 things have in common? They're all available at juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu. I know it can be hard to find these things in a podcast app, so we've collected them all for you at juiceboxpodcast.com. Hey kids, listen up. You've made it to the end of the podcast. You must have enjoyed it. You know what else you might enjoy? The private Facebook group for the Juicebox podcast. I know you're thinking, Facebook, Scott, please. But no, beautiful group, wonderful people, a fantastic community. Juicebox podcast, type 1 diabetes on Facebook. Of course, if you have type 2 or you're touched by diabetes in any way, you're absolutely welcome. It's a private group, so you'll have to answer a couple of questions before you come in. We'll make sure you're not a bot or an evildoer, then you're on your way. You'll be part of the family. I want to thank you so much for listening today and for listening all year long. I know this is the beginning of 2026. 2025 was a banner year for the podcast, but 2026 is starting out with a real bang. Our downloads are up. The amount of people listening are up. I'm super excited about the show this year. I hope you are too. JuiceBoxPodcast.com if you need anything else.